For all the football lovers who think Walter Payton is just another legendary running back, well, yes, you are correct, but you are missing the devastating truth behind the smile.
Once you put wisdom with will on top of talent, you get what you call sweetness.
Square those shoulders and boom!
You people in Chicago are spoiled. This guy you have down there is a phenomenon.
Haven't found anything he can't do.
He knew he was going to make that one play, that one big, gigantic leap. He just waited for it.
Payton ricochets off Ronnie Lott.
No one performed with more class. He became the model.
Walter Payton shows why he should be the most expensive back in all of professional football. Phenomenal.
The story you don't see in the highlight packages. So, you ask what they never told you about Walter Payton? Or sweetness, that's what they called him. The most beloved player in Chicago Bears history, a man who played with unmatched joy and toughness for 13 seasons. Well behind that infectious smile and those iconic highlights was a man privately suffering in ways nobody could have imagined. While Walter Payton projected pure happiness and dominated on the field, he was simultaneously battling crippling depression, a crumbling marriage, and eventually a disease that would slowly kill him. As one of the greatest and most complex figures in NFL history, Payton's real story is far darker than the highlight reels suggest. Let's get some background on Walter Payton beyond the legend, so we can fully understand what was really happening behind closed doors during those final, tragic years. Payton was born in Columbia, Mississippi, the youngest of 3 children. His parents, Peter and Aline Payton, worked hard to provide for their family in the segregated South, where opportunities were severely limited. Peter worked in a factory, while Aline was a housewife who kept the family together. Walter grew up in the shadow of his older brother Eddie, who was a star athlete at Columbia High School. Eddie was the football hero, the track star, the one everyone knew. Walter actually avoided football initially because he didn't want to compete with his brother's legacy. Instead, young Walter focused on music, playing drums in the school band, was a member of the baseball team and ran track. When Eddie graduated from Columbia High School, Walter finally felt free to play football. As a junior in 1970, he joined the football team and immediately showed he was special. Payton played multiple positions: running back, linebacker, punter, kicker, and returner. He scored in every way imaginable and led his team to the state playoffs. In his senior year, Payton rushed for over 1,000 yards and scored 33 touchdowns, but college recruiters barely noticed. He was playing at a small high school in Mississippi, and the big programs didn't come calling. After originally committing to Kansas State, he decided to follow his brother to Jackson State University, a historically black college in Jackson, Mississippi. At Jackson State, Payton would play for legendary coach Bob Hill and become one of the most dominant players in HBCU history. Over 4 years, Payton rushed for 3,600 yards and a school record 65 touchdowns. After the 1974 season, he won the Black College Player of the Year award and showed the kind of punishing running style that would define his career, never running out of bounds, always seeking contact, dishing out punishment to would-be tacklers. But even at Jackson State, Payton was playing in the shadows. The national media didn't cover HBCU football the way they covered the major programs. Walter Payton was the best player nobody was watching. That chip on his shoulder, that need to prove himself, would never go away. In the 1975 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears selected Walter Payton with the 4th overall pick. Nobody knew it yet, but it was a franchise-altering decision. The Bears were one of the worst teams in football, but being a first-round pick came with massive expectations, and Payton's rookie season was rough. In his very first NFL game, Payton carried the ball 8 times for 0 yards. Yes, you heard correctly, 0. The transition to the NFL was brutal. The speed, the violence, the size of the defenders, everything was different. Payton finished his rookie season with just 679 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. Critics immediately questioned whether the 4th overall pick had been a mistake. Some wondered if Payton was too small at 5 feet 10 inches to be an every down back in the NFL. Even though he didn't run to avoid contact, he ran seeking it. Every practice, every game, every carry was a chance to prove something. And from the outside, he did it all with a smile. After improving in his second season, 1977 is when everything changed. Payton rushed for 1,390 yards and 13 touchdowns, making the Pro Bowl for the first time. There was one single game that season that announced Walter Payton as the best running back in football. November 20th, 1977, the Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. Payton rushed for 275 yards on 40 carries, breaking O.J. Simpson's single-game rushing record. It was his second 200-yard performance of the season, and that 275-yard performance became the defining moment of his career, the game that proved Walter Payton was something special. By the end of the 1977 season, Payton had rushed for 1,852 yards and 14 touchdowns, leading the NFL in rushing. He was named NFL MVP and first-team All-Pro. Sweetness was born, the nickname given to him by his teammates because of his smooth running style and infectious personality. Everyone loved Walter. He was always smiling, always joking, always the life of the locker room. What a happy guy, they all thought. If only they knew what was really going on inside his head. From 1977 to 1987, Walter Payton was the heartbeat of the Chicago Bears. Season after season, he put up incredible numbers while playing on mostly mediocre teams. From 1977 to 1981, he recorded 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Year after year after year, Payton carried the load, literally and figuratively. He rarely missed games, playing through injuries that would sideline other players for weeks, often without telling coaches or trainers how badly he was hurt. In 1984, Payton broke Jim Brown's all-time rushing record, becoming the NFL's career rushing leader at the time with 12,400 yards. The moment should have been pure joy. He'd accomplished what many thought was impossible. But those close to Payton noticed something. Even in his greatest moments, there was a sadness in his eyes, a heaviness that the public never saw. The smile was always there for the cameras, but behind closed doors, Payton was struggling in his personal life. He was gone constantly. Practices, games, endorsements, appearances. The pressure to be Walter Payton everywhere he went was exhausting. And he was starting to use pain pills regularly to manage the physical punishment his body was taking. The man who never came out of games, who played hurt more than anyone, was slowly breaking down. But he couldn't let anyone see it. Sweetness had to keep smiling. In 1985, everything Walter Payton had worked for finally came together. The Chicago Bears, led by Mike Ditka, coordinator Buddy Ryan, and that legendary defense, went 15-1 in the regular season. They were dominant, crushing opponents week after week. And Payton, now 31 years old, was still a key part of the offense, rushing for 1,551 yards and 9 touchdowns. The Bears steamrolled through the playoffs, setting up a Super Bowl 20 showdown with the New England Patriots. This was it, Walter's chance to finally win a championship, to cement his legacy. The Bears demolished the Patriots 46-10 in one of the most lopsided Super Bowls ever. But here's what broke Walter Payton's heart. He didn't score a touchdown. Head coach Mike Ditka gave the ball to William the Refrigerator Perry for a touchdown, a gimmick play that the crowd loved. Payton, the greatest player in franchise history, didn't reach the end zone in his only Super Bowl. After the game, Payton smiled for the cameras and celebrated with his teammates. But privately, he was devastated. Years later, his wife Connie revealed that Walter cried that night, feeling disrespected and overlooked even in his greatest triumph. The one moment that was supposed to make everything worth it, and he felt empty. Winning a Super Bowl unfortunately didn't fix what was broken inside. If anything, it made him realize that nothing would. After the Super Bowl victory, Payton played 2 more seasons with the Bears. But the pain was becoming unbearable, not just physical, but emotional. Payton's marriage was sadly falling apart. He'd had some issues with infidelity over the years, seeking connection and escape from the pressure of being Walter Payton. They stayed together for the kids and for appearances, but the relationship was hollow. At the same time, Payton's reliance on pain medication was growing. He needed pills just to get through practices and games. His body had taken 13 years of punishment, and it was giving out. In 1987, Payton finally retired. He finished with 16,726 career rushing yards, 110 touchdowns, 9 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pros, and 1 MVP, and a legacy as one of the greatest to ever play the game. When it was over, Payton walked off the field for the last time, and the smile was gone. retirement should have been a relief, a chance to heal and find peace. Instead, it made everything worse. After football, Walter Payton struggled to find purpose. For 13 years, football had been his identity, his escape, his reason to keep going. Now what? He tried various business ventures, restaurants, an IndyCar team, real estate investments. Most of them failed, costing him tons of dollars. The man who'd been so successful on the field couldn't figure out life after football. The depression that had lurked in the background during his playing career now consumed him. Payton would spend days in bed, unable to find motivation to do anything. His addiction to painkillers grew more severe. The smile that everyone associated with sweetness was gone, replaced by a man who seemed lost and broken. His marriage and family life continued to deteriorate. Then, in 1998, Walter started feeling sick. He went to the doctor and received devastating news. He had primary sclerosing cholangitis, a rare liver disease that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. There was no cure. His only chance at survival was a liver transplant. On February 2nd, 1999, looking nothing like sweetness, Walter Payton held a press conference to announce his illness. He looked frail, his skin had a yellowish tint from the liver disease, and his voice cracked with emotion. "I'm looking forward to the challenge," he said. But privately, Payton was falling apart. He was fading away, and he knew it. Throughout 1999, Walter Payton's condition worsened. He lost weight rapidly, dropping as low as 140 pounds. The man who'd been one of the strongest, toughest players in NFL history was withering away. He could barely get out of bed some days. The pain was constant and excruciating. During these final months, Payton finally opened up to those closest to him about his struggles. He talked about the depression that had haunted him for years, the emptiness he'd felt even during his greatest moments, the affairs, and the guilt he carried. Through it all, his loving family stayed by his side. On November 1st, 1999, at just 45 years old, Walter Payton passed away at his home. The news devastated the sports world. Thousands gathered for a beautiful memorial service at Soldier Field, and the tributes poured in from across the country. His family wouldn't reveal until years later the full truth about Walter's final chapter. In his posthumously published autobiography, Never Die Easy, it talked about the depression, the pain pill addiction, the infidelity, the business failures, the feeling that he'd let everyone down. The man everyone knew as Sweetness had been suffering in silence for decades. Since his death, the NFL named its Man of the Year award after Walter Payton, honoring players who excel both on and off the field. It's a beautiful tribute, but there's an irony to it as Walter himself struggled so much off the field. Walter Payton's legacy is complicated in ways most fans don't understand. Yes, he's one of the greatest running backs in NFL history. Yes, he revolutionized the position with his combinations of power, speed, and receiving ability. Yes, he played the game with unmatched toughness and joy. At least, that's what it looked like. But Walter Payton's real legacy is more human than that. He showed us that even the strongest, toughest, most beloved people can be suffering in ways we can't see. That the smile can be a mask. That success doesn't cure depression. That legends are human beings with all the flaws and struggles that come with that. To this day, Walter Payton is second all-time in career rushing yards behind Emmitt Smith and remains one of the most beloved figures in NFL history. But perhaps his most important legacy is this: it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to struggle, even when you're supposed to be strong. And it's okay to admit that behind the smile, you're hurting. Rest in peace, Sweetness. You don't have to smile anymore. For more of the best NFL content, be sure to like and subscribe.